This is where I thrash.
You will hear me! I will be heard!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the From North to Wharf podcast, your unofficial but verified one-stop destination for Bob's Burgers information. As always, I am Mike.
And I'm JB.
Hello, everyone. Hello, JB.
Hello, Mike. How are you today?
Hello, everyone. That's how we are.
We're scraping. We're scraping. We're good. We're good.
Your boy is in a rough spot, but that's not why we're here today. If this is your first time, hello. This is a Bob's Burgers podcast hosted by myself and, of course, JB here. If this isn't your first time, welcome back. Thank you very much for
thank you for returning. We appreciate it.
Yes, this is I don't know where the count is at this point, but I think this is going to be about episode 9. Don't hold me to that, but we'll see. But today is going to be a very special episode. We are actually going to take a long trip back to when JB created a board game for Bob's Burgers, and how that led to the creation of Bob's Burgers Trivial Pursuit. It's an amazing story. It's a long, fun story, and we're gonna start from the very beginning. We're just gonna go through the whole thing. So, JB, essentially, I'm interviewing JB for this episode.
Yeah, this.
I have nothing to add to this. So,
we've played it before. Like
I have not played
seen it. No, you've seen
photos
it.
But yeah. So JB, what prompted you to even create a board game? Not even Trivial Pursuit. What was the original impetus and idea for your game?
So it started with just watching Bob's Burgers on repeat quite a bit, sleeping to it, like most of the fans do, and. Me and my buddy who had been watching it, Will, we were kind of just really into the show and just enjoyed like trying to stump each other. So we just like go back and forth texting each other trivia questions, seeing if we could stump anybody. And eventually it got to the point that we were just like, there's a whole group on Reddit that's literally putting questions out there, just trying to stump each other. And it just seems like it's a fun community. And we're like, how is there not like a trivia game? And we started noticing like every other like IP seems to have one. And people seem to really dig into it and love it. Like Seinfeld had a huge one, Harry Potter has one, and like we're like, okay, so it's out there, but why doesn't Bob's have one? The community seems like it's ready for it. So we just kind of sat down one day with cardboard and made a board that was really just colored sheets and printer paper, and we cut out pictures of like Bob and Linda and like different landmarks on Ocean Avenue and around Wonder Wharf and stuff, and created a board similar to kind of like Monopoly. And then we were like, what are we going to do with it from here? And the idea was, well, you would answer trivia and move around the board. And we're like, well, that doesn't really get a lot accomplished. Like it would get boring really quick. So we're like, there has to be an end goal. And that's kind of where we started tinkering and playing around. And we're like, you know what, we could answer trivia questions and it could be like making a burger. So every like color, because we had colors for each like square, and there was like I think 5 or 6 colors, and we just kept rotating them around the board. And he's like, maybe that could be like yellow is cheese, brown is burger, bun is this, tomatoes are red. And like we were just like, okay, we can run with that, we'll run with this. And then we came up with like regular burgers have these toppings, and then we were like, then you would get these, and then we're like, well, how would you know what burger you're making? So then it became, let's do burgers of the day. Special burgers are worth more points, and regular cheeseburgers are worth these points, and just a regular like hamburger is worth this many points. And the goal is either to like rush to get like 5 burgers out, or it's like to get a certain amount of points wins. And then from there, we're like, well, how do you basically know what toppings you have? And we used cards at first, and we're like, well, that's not fun. Just a bunch of cards, like it's not really fun to just hold on to these. So then I came up with the idea. I drew them and cut them out of cardboard and we had toppings, and you had plates, and that was like your pieces, and you would go around the board with your plate, and it was different characters, and it kind of became its whole huge thing. It was a lot of pieces, and the box is huge, and yeah, it continued to develop for months. We just kept tinkering and playing and doing this.
Now, when you started it, why not just make it a traditional, straightforward trivia game, just with cards, questions, cards, questions?
I think it's because we, as fans, were just kind of like, that's not something that we thought Bob's would do. We were like, they seemed to be more like, I think the cookbook had come out, and we're like, they do fan-based things, and they try to make it fun and engaging. And they'd done like the Jenga game, and we're like, okay, so it's very much like, it is Jenga, but it's got its own story with it. And you're trying to like Miss Jimmy Pesto not get zoomed and try to get like toppings as you move up the stack. And it was like, okay, this is like, there's more to it than just pulling blocks out. So they wanted to make it more fun and have like a story with it. So that's when we're like, let's try to make it more fan friendly. Let's try to make it something that could be fun. It's something you can hold. You can see your burger as you go around the board. People can see what toppings you're going for and try to stump you. There was also like take a chance cards. It was like White Pants Take a Chance, using that reference from Mr. Fishoder. And it was like a chance card where like you could either get good stuff or bad stuff. We had you would go to jail and Bosco would keep you there, and you had to answer trivia questions to get out based on how like you rolled the dice, how many questions you had to get right to get out. We had like community ones, like it was like a community chest where like you could get good things as well. But we had something else for that. It was called something different. And it was just basically we wanted it to be fanfare, to have all these little like nods to the show, because we had like 10 seasons worth of stuff. So we're in like if you look at The Simpsons, like the first 10 seasons, everyone calls those like the Grail seasons, the best of the best. And we're like, well, Bob's is now in its 10th season. The movie, I think, hadn't been announced yet, but there were like rumors of like, oh, what is like Bob's going to do next? They're riding high, so we were like, this is the time to jump on it, and it should have a game. It should have something. So
now you had mentioned things like go to jail and community chess, and it was Monopoly the prototype that you had worked off of, or you just kind of took things here and there?
A little bit, yeah. We took it from, I think we took stuff from other games as well. Monopoly, I think, was more for the board. We were like, this makes sense. We could use it as a like template and work with that. And then
let's face it, like most board games are kind of stemming from the basic setup of Monopoly, if we're being honest, in one form or another. So,
I mean, it is like the standard of what people base their boards on, because it's just it's tried and true. It's been around, I think, for like probably 100 years or close to that at this point. Like, it's been around. So we used that, and we used Post-it notes to start off, and then made our own board out of cardboard and that construction paper stuff afterwards. And then it had little aspects of like other games in there, like Life and Candyland with the colors, and we're like, we'll just kind of take aspects of things that we like and use it and apply it. And then with the burgers and making that, we're like, we need something to kind of make it, because you would just kind of like, I think it was also kind of like Ticket to Ride. We had played a lot of that, and we're like, so you get your tracks and you get kind of like your destinations, and you're working on your destination cards. And you're trying to make your paths to get longest train and getting all these things to get extra points, which could actually like make or break you at the end. So we're like, that would actually be kind of fun. You could have tallest burger. If you're like, I'm just like going for tallest burger, it's worth a ton of points. And it would just be like, whatever topping you get, you just stack. And if you have the tallest one, you get these, like, it was like 50 extra points, which is like equivalent to like 2 burgers. So it could really win if you had it, and it would help you. But if you had special burgers, like the Baby You Can Chive My Car burger, or like the Eggers Can't Be Cheesers burger and things like that, you could get, those burgers were worth a ton of points. So
and I'm kind of jumping around here, but how does one win the game? Obviously, when Monopoly, you have all the money, you have the property. In Ticket to Ride, the tracks are all covered.
Yes.
How does one win? In fact, before that, what did you call your game?
So our game was called the Bob's Burgers Burger Making Trivia Game. We just based it off of the burger book, the burger joke book, and we're like, okay, we'll just kind of call it what it is. It's just a burger making trivia game.
Cool.
And
so then how does one win the game?
So we had a couple different variations of the game. There was like a speed round, which is just like first person to get like a certain amount of burgers wins. And it was basically just like we made it like the person who knew the most about Bob's, or the person that could name like the first whatever. Like we had like some funny things in the rule book. That person got to roll a dice, and that would be like how many burgers had to be made the quickest. And that was like a speed round. And then we had order up, where like basically there was like you just picked 5 order cards, and whatever those were, everyone on the board had to try to make those. And the first team or first person who made all those burgers, their orders were up first, and they won. We also had one that was like first person to like 200 points wins. So it could just be like kind of based on whatever you need it to be. We had one that was called the rent is due, and that's when you had to have burgers that added up to a certain score. So I think we have like 1,000. So you like had to make 1,000 points, and if you did that, you made rent and you won.
Now you had mentioned teams. Can you in your game can you play as an individual or as a team?
You could play as both, yeah.
Okay. Is it essentially just answering trivia questions?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And it would just kind of go back and forth, and the questions were the Trivial Pursuit, I guess, idea that probably made sense to them more is that the cars that we had designed had colors that were coordinated to toppings. Yeah. So for them, it'd be like, oh, geography's brown or green and history is this. So we had it as like, if you want to get a cheese and you land on cheese, then the question would be the yellow one. And it was basically to save on cards because cards were expensive.
Yeah. And I do have my assumptions, but we'll cover that when it gets to actual Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah.
So did you ever finish the game? And if so, what did the final product look like?
We did
both
finish
in concept and visually speaking.
Yeah. No, like, so concept-wise, we finished it. We had the rules written. The rules were only 10 pages, and it was very colorful and handwritten. It wasn't handwritten. We had typed it up. It had art. We actually had our buddy, Ron, who was a graphic artist, help us out. So he used Photoshop and Illustrator, and he took my cardboard board and literally made it into a printout, which I still have. It's super nice, but it looks professional. It looks super polished. It looks super clean. We started making like locations on the board where he literally did the burger, like Bob's Burgers was your starting position, and like the whole square looked like the restaurant. And then it would just have like the restaurant, and then if it was like a hamburger you were going for, on top of the square would be like half the burger, like a half, or the cheese would be a half cheese piece. And then you would see like the pedophile, or you would see like Jimmy Pesto's, or like you would see all the stores would be there. Big Bob's.
The alleged pedophile.
Yes. But yeah, we had all the different stores on Ocean Avenue on it, and then Wonder Wharf was there, and all kinds of different places, and it just looked really polished and really well done. So we were super excited about it. He was able to basically design the cards. So we had like professional looking like trivia cards. The White Pants Take a Chance, we had cards that were made from those that looked really good. The burger order cards were like blueprints that I had hand drawn and Procreate, and he cleaned them up so it looked like blueprints of a burger. So it's kind of like the side view you see in the cookbook of like what toppings there were, and then it would say how many points it was worth. Like everything looked really good, and we were pretty excited about it at that point because we're like, hey, we've been working on this for like a year. It looks good. So we posted it to, at the time, Reddit and Twitter. And we were just like, let's just see what fans think about it. And I think it's to this day my top post on Reddit. It had thousands upon thousands of likes and upvotes and comments. And I don't think there was anything negative. It was mostly just like, when is it going to get play tested and where can I play it? And we're like, okay, so there's a good reception for this. People seem to really like it and they dig it. and we had like pictures of the plates. We showed them pictures of the toppings, which he redid all the toppings in Illustrator as well, so they looked really good. I just basically like went to Kinko's, printed them on nice paper, put them on cardboard and glued it down, and then cut them with an X-Acto knife, and it looked really professional.
Mhm.
The box that we made for it, everything fit in it really nice. So we're like, okay, this is like proof of concept. This could be done and made and not be super pricey. And it got to the point where when we posted it to Twitter, we eventually were told that Lauren had seen it, and he wrote us.
Now, yeah, let's backtrack a little here. So you posted to Twitter. Do you tag Lauren in it, or is it just you literally throwing it out into the ether and strictly just for fans?
I think we just put hashtag Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
And then I think we may have put at Bob's Burgers.
Okay. But not directly talking to Lauren.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
So he does look at that stuff, guys.
At least at one point he did.
At one point, I think he's super busy, so he may not anymore. But I think back then he was able to kind of surf and do that stuff.
So at this point, this point, as you aren't a host of a podcast, you're a fan. You made this game. Have you had much interactions before this with folks from the show?
No, not at all.
So you send out this tweet, you put it out there, good reception on Reddit. I assume some traction on Twitter. Then you find out. Who do you find out from that Lauren has seen it?
So we got an email about a week later from Janelle.
Oh, nice. Of course.
And she messaged and said, hey, we should talk. And when you guys available to do a Zoom call? Because they're like, Lauren saw it and likes it and wants to talk to you guys about it. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. So we're ecstatic at that point. It's like, wow, someone noticed it. We also thought they were joking at first.
Of course. Let me ask you this. Because us, as from North to Work, we've been in the same position where Janelle has asked, are you guys free for a meeting? Not knowing what it was about. So 1,000 thoughts are running through her head.
Yes.
In this initial contact with Janelle, does she let you know, hey, this is we've seen the game, we dig the game, we want to talk about the game?
Yes.
Okay, so you knew going in what
we
this
knew,
was all about.
Yeah, that it was going to be about it. And it was wild. I think we were both horrified and nervous to be like, what do they want to talk to us about? And like when someone on Bob's messages you like, hey, we should chat, and they're super, super busy, and they're like, let's talk in like a couple weeks. We just literally would sit there and count down and be like, all right, so it's tomorrow, we're doing this. And we reviewed 1,000 times what we wanted to say and how we wanted to. And it doesn't go any way that you plan it at all. But
at this point, I assume you didn't know who Janelle was.
No, I had to look her up.
In the grander scope of what she does.
No. I had to look her up. And then I was like, oh, she's huge. Like, this is a big deal. Yeah. We just thought maybe it was like someone who worked on the show as like an artist or like a storyboard person or an animator had seen it and we're like, oh, this is really cool. And then no, like it's Janelle, and we're like, oh wow, no, this is huge.
For those of you unaware, Janelle is essentially the final step between you and Lauren Bouchard.
Yes. And and such a nice, cool person. So like, no.
As nice as the day is long.
And for us, we were just like, she's like right there, and we're like, this is intimidating because it's like we're nobody. She's as close as it's gonna get. Yeah. And like we're like, what are they gonna ask us? What do they want to know about this? Are they gonna tell us it's like we can't do this and just take it down, or like thanks for doing it, we appreciate you, but like you got to stop? And it very much,
which wasn't. Is yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, because again, with in our own scenario. Or in our own situation, we went through all those things, like all those questions. And at that point, for North to Wharf was well established. Like they knew who we were. We knew who they are. So we kind of knew what we were getting into, but we didn't know what would happen. So I could only assume having this be your very first introduction to all of that, being
Yeah.
terrified.
Terrified, definitely starstruck, because we're like,
Yeah.
they work on the show. They've been there since the beginning. Like,
Mhm,
they're big in the industry, and like, we are just fans.
mhm,
And I mean, we put a lot of time into this, and we're like, this is really cool that someone really likes it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any idea of like how much they liked it, or if it
Right.
was like it was going to go good or wrong, like bad.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
So,
mhm,
so I remember that me and Will went out for burgers the night of the meeting, because of course we're 3 hours ahead
mhm,
and they're
mhm.
behind. So they are going to meet with us after their workday is done.
Yes.
So it's not till like 7 or 8 o'clock. So we went out to eat and got burgers, and then are sitting in his kitchen, his old house's kitchen, with his laptop, just sitting there with the Zoom link open, but like not clicking on it because it's like, well, it's an hour and a half before.
Mhm,
But we have
mhm.
the game set up, we have everything there, and we've just been drinking, and we're like, okay, this is just going to help us make us more relaxed. And it didn't. We were so anxious and nervous.
Did
And
they
then,
ask you
yeah.
to come to the meeting with the game set up?
No, we just
Okay.
set it up because, like, what if they asked to see it? We can just kind of show
Right.
them. And he had like his webcam ready with like a
Mhm.
longer cord, so we could like show them everything. Because we were like, our phone cameras weren't great at that time, so we're like, okay, we have to make it somewhat good.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, it was just waiting and sitting there, and then they logged on like 5 minutes late because they're busy. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they came from one meeting to this meeting and had to get
Now-
everyone in the room ready. And
Now, who is they? Who is at this meeting beyond Will and yourself?
so it's me and Will on my side, and on their side it's Janelle, and
Mhm.
it's Mikey
Mhm.
Maxero, who does all the merchandising at Bob's.
Mhm.
Super nice guy as well.
Yep.
And then at the time, it's Mike Penkith, who's now, I think he works for Netflix, but he was at Bob's for a long time too, and he was like an executive over there.
Yes.
And super nice guy as well. So Mikey and Mike. And there may have been an assistant there as well to take notes.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know if it was
any
Paige or it might have been
time-
someone different.
At any time, was Lauren involved?
So Lauren was as involved as he knew about it. And I guess how Janelle and Mikey had explained it is at a meeting, they were talking about merchandise, and they brought up like, hey, what do you guys think about board games currently? Like, we just did Jenga, Clue's coming out. Like,
Mhm.
what else do you guys want to do? And like, from what they had told us, Lauren literally pushed a Post-it note across the table to Janelle and Mikey and said, like, call these guys.
Mm.
Like, they already have a trivia game. And they're like, oh, okay, then trivia game. That's what we're going to focus on. And that kind of led to them reaching out to us and being like, we should talk.
Mm.
So
So-
he knew about it, which was cool.
Yeah. Okay, so then you're in the meeting. What are they asking you? What are the vibes? What are you feeling and picking up in that moment?
The vibes from the beginning, I mean, the Bob's people in general, if you've ever met them or have the privilege to, they're so nice. The nicest people you're going to meet. I mean, they don't sugarcoat anything. They tell you how it is.
Yep.
They try to be as upfront and honest with you about anything that gets in the way of what they want to do. And they were just really kind and generous. They're like, this is so amazing that you guys wanted to do this.
Mhm.
And from the get-go, it was just kind of like talking to like friends that you just met. They were
Yeah.
really nice, and they're like, we're just amazed that people like you actually want to do stuff like this with us.
Mhm,
And at that point, they were like, so we're interested in this. We like it. We think it looks really cool. Have other people played it? And we're like,
mhm.
just spouses and some friends who are really big fans of the show, because we wanted to test out the questions and things with them.
Mhm.
And they're like, let's keep it to that for now. And then I believe they sent us an NDA to look
Yeah.
at and sign. And we were fine with that. And they're like, keep working on it and kind of refine it as best as you can. Get us some rules to look at. And if you can send us like what it looks like and things like that. So we took a lot of pictures and sent those over.
Mhm.
And then they're like, keep testing and playing it. And then we met like 4 or 5 more times after that
Mhm.
to kind of go over like progress and things like that and play testing it. And they're like, so any snags, any issues? I'm like, not really. It usually runs its course. The game usually takes about 45 minutes to play, depending on if you want to keep going. As long as you're doing like 5 burgers or this many points, it lasts about 45 to 30 minutes. And like we tweaked some of the rules and things like that because we were running into people that were really good at the show trivia and would just get everything right. So then they were like, how many should you want to limit them to? And like, we're like, it should just be 1 per roll. They shouldn't be able to keep going. So we took out like roll doubles and keep going. We're like, that's not fair. So it was just tweaking it as we would go. And then it got to the stage after a bunch of meetings that they were like, we should get into playtesting. Like, you guys should start calling local game shops and host basically like play nights where they're like, we'll have people come in. And they were talking about having somebody reach out to these places after we connected to be like, hey, we're going to play test a game. They need to sign forms saying that they're not going to talk about it. And it's going to be like a closed test.
And at this point, there's only 1 copy of the game.
They were talking to us about making other copies. We were going to send them all the files, and they were going to make copies of it and like put like prototype and labels all over it and like do not replicates and stuff like that. And then send them out to us. And then we would basically bring sets of them. And then after the playthroughs, I believe we were instructed to gather all the pieces, make sure everything was accounted for, and then take them back. And it was going to be like no photography, none of that at all.
Were you able to run any test games?
We had it set up in Cleveland at 2 places, in Columbus in 2 places, and we were talking to a place in, I think it was Hudson, Ohio, and a couple other places that had game stores, like board game shops. And they were all on board to play it. At first, they were like, what are you guys doing? And then once we were explaining, like, it's for Bob's Burgers, and we were like, we have paperwork saying it, and like, they're like, okay, so this is legit. It's not just you guys just messing around. So they were all on board after that.
Dope. So
it was cool. There was a couple, like when I went to Kinko's to print the boards, I got a lot of pushback to be like, you can't print this. Like, and I'm like, no, I can. And they're like, what says that you can? And I was like, I actually have a form saying I can't, which was super cool to actually be like, no, I have a legit form from Bento Box saying I can't print this. And then they would look at it and be like, all right, do you want to have a copy of this? And I was like, no, it's totally fine. So I'd have to like message Mikey and other people to be like, is this okay to do? And they're like, yeah, 100%, it's fine.
So you have these games set up. Yeah, you have these spots saying, yeah, we'll do it. Are you able to actually go through with any of these test runs?
So the last meeting we had before we were going to do these test runs and get them to print the copies of the game, we were told to put everything on pause.
Yeah.
Because at that time, the rumors were that Fox was being sold to Disney, but nothing was completely sold like solid yet. Right. But the rumors were there, and we had heard about them too, and we're like, so is there legitimacy to these rumors? And they were just kind of like, we can't tell you if there is or isn't, but we're telling you at this point we are told to pause. So we paused. We still worked on it and still played with friends and things like that and did play testing on our own. And then it was a little while after that, and then they messaged us again and said, let's meet. And then we would meet. And at that meeting, they're like, so Disney has acquired us. We have to put on hold all of our current projects. Yeah. So that was the long wait where we're like waiting. I think it was like 2 or 3 months at that point. We're like, we can't do anything.
So obviously the end of this whole story is Trivial Pursuit.
Yes.
At what point did you find out that they were moving forward with the trivia game, but not your trivia game, and that it was going to be turned into Trivial Pursuit?
So we had a meeting with them, and I think they wanted to do it with us first and tell us before, I think their name was USopoly, told us, which I think is a Disney company that does a lot of that kind of stuff, like licenses out, like Disney Monopoly and things like that. So they the team over at Bento messaged us, and we set up a meeting. We talked to them, and we were hoping like, oh, there was just a snag, and then they're like, so we're being told that we need to pivot it to a different format. And they're like, it is nothing against what you've done or what you've created. Like, we're all on board for it. We think it's really cool. It's unique. It's its own thing. It's totally Bob's. They're like, but for right now, we want to make it. We want to make something with it. We don't want to just sit on this because we're like, fans are going to dig it. They want trivia games. So let's pivot and do, we're going to do Trivial Pursuit.
Okay.
And we're like, okay, that's cool. Like, what do you need from us for that?
Right. And if we're talking from strictly a business standpoint, Trivial Pursuit is cheaper to produce than a whole board game with 1,000 moving pieces. So
yes, and it's a known property, which it makes sense. It's everyone knows about it.
I could see the powers that be being a little gun shy and saying, "Hey, essentially, this is a trivia game. Why don't we just do Trivial Pursuit? All we have to make is cards."
Well, that was the first thing is we were asking, do you guys want the board? Because Trivial Pursuit, the older versions had a board, and they came with like the little round pie things, and you went around the board collecting pie pieces.
Yep.
And then we would just make Bob's Burgers the middle. So we had actually templated a board to look like that.
Yeah.
And it looked really good. We still have it. We just never printed it, but it's the file's there. And they were like, let us go back and talk to them about it. Because they're like, no, we actually think that's cool because we do want to make it more like Bob's. We want to make it more fan friendly, fun, not just like the cards are fine and things like that, but we want to make it a little bit more like it's something that fans can hold on to and really like. We want them to be wowed.
Trivial Pursuit could really lend itself to Bob's because you have the wedges. You can make the wedges the different colors of the family members, or literally the top of a burger. I mean, that
was all discussed. We talked about making it like a plastic burger, like a clear plastic burger, and you throw like pieces in it as you collect them. We talked about doing like a stackable thing, like a kid's stack toy. Like my son has a stack toy that literally is just burger toppings, and then the bun goes on top and it snaps on. It's a stacker toy, and we're like, could we just make smaller versions of that using like 3D printed plastic? And like, that's not a bad idea either. We could probably do something like that. They went in with a lot of these ideas. But as you said, I think from a business perspective, they were like, we can just do it the way we do like the Harry Potter version and the other ones we've done, where it's portable, it's small, and it's easy to take and go.
The financial risk is minimal. So you're having all these meetings, you're having all these ideas. You're like, okay, it's not what we wanted, but they're still working with us and they're still pivoting. At what point do you notice or do you realize like, oh, they're taking this thing and running with it, and maybe not pushing you out, but like no longer asking, hey, how should we do this? Or did that even happen? Were you involved all the way through the end?
So we were involved all the way through. We actually were the final edits. And then there was a writer on the team. We never figured out which writer. I would love to know who it was, just to see if it was like John or somebody that worked on it. But we were editing it, and the turnaround, they really wanted to get it out before the holidays. So they were really pushing it.
Now, when you say you were editing, what does that entail?
So the questions that we had it set up is just like normal questions. So it first started off with, we need to make a Trivial Pursuit style. So how do we do this? And that was a question they had asked us. So then we went kind of back to the drawing board. And me and Will just would sit around and be like, so how do we do this? They need 6 categories. How do we break things down into categories? And that's kind of where we started looking at, well, what are the things that are kind of the same over and over again? So we're like, okay, we have like Wonder Wharf things. So we have things that are like around the wharf, so town stuff. So we're like, okay, we can do town things, like locations around the city. So we can do that. Questions about like the restaurant, things like that. Then we're like, there's a lot of things about like Wagstaff kids. So let's go into Wagstaff. Let's do Wagstaff stuff for kid trivia. And then it became like burgers of the day, like fun facts about those. So like if it's about an 80s song, what's the artist who they're referencing? There was like one about puns. So we kind of broke it into like as many categories as we could get. I think we came up with like 10. And then from there, the Bob's team met with the Trivial Pursuit people, and they narrowed it down to 6. And they're like, these are the topics we want to use. So we're like, okay, that's fine. We can do that.
I know when we do trivia with North to Wharf, we kind of go out of our way to find the most minute detail to make it terrible for you and I, not the audience. But
no.
When you're working with the show, when you're working with USopoly and official folks in an official capacity, do they give you guidelines that say, hey, we want it challenging, but not stupid?
Yeah, no, that was a whole discussion. We had a lot of the mix. We had broken the trivia down once to be like basic, medium, and hard. And we're trying to make the game a little mix of all of it. And that's kind of our original thought about it. And then as it got broken into categories, we took all our questions from Excel and put them into the categories. And then they started going through them. And they're like, some of these are really, really hard. And we're like, yeah, but there's like fans that are diehards that are like, they're going to have a hard time with this. And they want harder questions because they're just going to blow through it. And they're like, well, this needs to be more of a generalized version of this game. We need general questions. So we went through it with them. And I think we had like 1,000 questions. So we went through it with them. And they were like, that's too hard. Get rid of it. So we spent a little bit of a meeting. I think it was like 45 minutes going through all the questions. And they went through them. I love that they
sat down and went through the questions. They didn't just give you like lip service.
No, they met with us. They brought their questions. They're like, hey, 601, 600 through like 610 are way too hard. Get rid of them. These are like, all right, we'll get rid of those.
These are the Bob's folks or Bob's and USopoly?
Bob's folks. Okay. So like Mikey and them would go through it.
I would say, because I assume you are working in conjunction with the Bob's folks who would then take to the
They're taking it, yep. Folks. And then we would occasionally meet with both.
Okay.
I think it was more like whenever we both had questions that like they hadn't answered, then we'd meet with them and talk about it.
And at this point, did you know what the final form? I assume you knew it was Trivial Pursuit, that it was being limited to.
We knew that, yeah.
Did you at that point know, it's strictly going to be just cards, there's no board?
So each meeting we would kind of learn what was happening and what they were moving forward with and not. I think they would kind of talk about it and go back and forth about it, and then eventually it'd be like, we're just going to do this because it makes more sense to do this at this point. So I think that's kind of how it played out. They would kind of like really push for it, and then we would get a meeting and be like told like, so we love the board and we want to do the board, but they want to make it travel. We're like, okay, yeah, we get that. That's fine. So I think it was mostly kind of that. It would be going back and forth for a little while. They would try to like discuss it with them and see if it was like more valuable to do one way or the other, and then they would kind of like, okay, we're just going to do this. So we would kind of pivot as they would tell us what was going on.
When it came to the design of not only the cards but the case that it comes in, the whole 9 yards, did you have were you able to follow that process along, or did you see the end product when it was all said and done like everybody else?
We got to see, we had pitched a burger at first instead of the pie piece.
Yes.
Which they had heavily, I think, pushed. They wanted it to be like, look like a Bob's Burgers burger. There was discussions. It'd have been dope.
It could have been like the clamshell phone that they have.
Literally, that's what we were discussing, is that the case would open up on like a hinge, and the cards would be in there, and there'd be like a dice that you would roll. That's all kind of what's in there now. But we wanted it to be like a burger that was like painted and colored and looked like a Bob's burger. And we're like, this would be just fun because it would sit on your shelf, and if you're like, oh, what is it? It's like, oh, it's a trivia game. And you just grab it, and it's like a talking piece too. So it'd be like a piece of like merchandise and also a game. We really were pushing for that, and they were like, well, we always just do the pie piece. We already have the mold. It makes sense, because then they'd have to pay for the mold, which we learned about later from Todd and other people and people like at Kid Robot and stuff, like how much molds cost. So we're like, okay, that makes sense. It's a upfront fee to make a mold like that. So now that I've learned a lot about it, it makes a lot of sense why. At the time, we're like, but it'd be so cool. And like, it would be, but
it would be cool. But like,
we're also like,
when you're funneling millions of dollars, you want to make sure you're not just throwing it all into a fire, you know? So.
Exactly. Because then they're like, well, we have it this way because then you can just stack them. I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you go through this whole process. Things change. You're kind of seeing this from the business side of things as opposed to the fan side of things now.
Which is a big eye opener because you're a fan and then you're slowly be like, okay.
Yeah.
And you don't really realize it until like probably the last couple of years once I started realizing like, oh, this is how much molds cost. This is how much making 3D printing this thing would have cost. This is how much this would have cost. The cards actually cost this much to make. And you're like, okay, there's a lot that goes into these questions.
Did seeing how the sausage is made, did it sour you any on the experience?
I think not totally. I think a little bit as I like would look at the board at home and being like, okay, this isn't going to happen, and then boxing it up. And there was a moment where like there was a couple months where we didn't think it was going to happen, like nothing was going to happen, and we're like, we were so freaking close. And then like it was almost kind of like you flew too close to the sun, and that was that. Because we were like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and then it just kind of at one point it looked like it was falling apart completely. And then they came back and said like, no, we're doing it. It's just going to be this, and we need you to work on this and help us get these questions narrowed down. And then it was a lot of just like that kind of process. So then we were seeing like the writer's process, and we're like the edits process. And like they sent us a 35-page USopoly did of rules for Trivial Pursuit of how to write questions, and can you use proper nouns? Can you use names? What's not allowed to be on questions, which is very wild. Some of the things that are not allowed, and people they just don't want on questions, period. And yeah, this is very interesting. So we had to read that many, many times and then go through all of our questions and make sure that they complied.
So I guess coming into this as a fan and then going through the whole process and seeing how the business is run, do you now have a better understanding and can sympathize with why certain things aren't done merchandise-wise the way you as a fan feel they should be? Because now you see it from the other side and can understand like, hey, there's a reason why we don't have X, Y, and Z because it just isn't feasible.
Yes, I think now as somebody who's been around a little bit more, because that was my first taste of it.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit like soured at first because it was like, man, we were like, this looks so cool. And like everyone really liked it. And the Bob's people liked it. And the people on the show had like seen it and were like, this is going to be so cool and rad. And then it kind of fell apart and then came back and then got changed so many times that we're like, this was a huge thing. And then when we were editing questions too, they're like, hey, we need this by this time. So like I'm doing it on my breaks from work on off, like lunch breaks editing. And Will was traveling because they wanted it like in a 2-week turnaround. So they like edited, like got us the questions they wanted to use. We had to template them, format them, rewrite them, check them, and make sure everything was written correctly and done correctly, and then get them over to them to edit. So then I think they went through 2 edits with us. Then they said they sent it over to the Bob's writers to look it over. And then we got a few edits back from them and then re-edited them and resubmitted them again. And then they were approved. So he was doing them while he was traveling. So he would just sit in airports and we would talk on the phone. And then he would just be like, well, I'm going to do these like 100 questions. I need you to do your 100. And I'm like, yep, I'll get to my 100. Don't worry about that. Okay. So we would just crunch time. But learning how things are done now, you definitely can see why certain things are done and why certain decisions are made.
Yeah.
And why it takes so long for things to happen.
It's also good to have the perspective, like not only as a fan, but like as a businessman in some respects, because you can sympathize with both sides now.
Very much, yeah.
You like for you, it's like, okay, let's get this done, right away. And then you can see, I was like, oh, there's a reason why things don't get done so fast. There's a reason why these things take time and how many hoops you have to jump through. So it's kind of, I guess, you can appreciate the whole, both sides of it a lot more than a man can.
No, like when we see things and we're like, oh, why that seems like a no-brainer. Why did that take so long? It's like, no, there's a whole process to how that got made. And it's a whole thing. And I'm sure there was hoops. And like even the simplest thing, like that, those figures that came out recently, like they probably went through so many molds, so many test runs, so many art productions, so many like how the box is going to work. How is this going to work? How is that going to be made? It's a whole thing. So like as much as we're like, oh, this just seems dumb and like it should just be made as fans, being in it and seeing it, now you're like, no,
And-
like there's more to it.
And I know me and you, we have our sneak peeks and we have our behind the scenes knowledge of how things like Toddland are kind of run. But like with Funko stuff, with Kid Robot stuff, all that stuff is like years in the making. It doesn't just
Mhm.
happen overnight.
No,
How long did it take from conception,
start to finish. Ooh,
start
yeah.
to finish, acknowledgement from Bento to Trivial Pursuit coming out? How long was that process?
I want to say 2 years.
Exactly. So people think, oh, it's just you putting out a trivia game. It's like, no, this is years in the making.
And it would be like a month between meetings. Like we would be like, what else do they need to go over? And it's like, no, like these people are super, super busy and they're fitting you in to talk about this. And on top of all their other meetings. So now they've been added this new project of this trivia game and they actually have to meet with you, talk with you, edit things down, talk to you about ideas. And like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
I
a whole
think that,
mad respect for what they do and how they do it. Cause it's amazing that sometimes things get made.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see something like the Art of Bob's Burgers book.
Yeah.
And that was something you and I were discussing years ago. And I guarantee you, even before we had our discussions, they were already having those discussions. Items were already being put together. So
yeah, I mean, we had heard from I think Drew a while back when we interviewed him, one of the animators on the show. He was on a retreat and like Lauren got the call that like, oh, we're gonna make a record. We're gonna do records. And like he's like, oh really? We're gonna do that? And it's like they've been talking about it. He's like, if they got the call that they're doing it, it's probably been in the works for like a year and a half.
Absolutely. These things don't happen overnight. And
no.
all the stuff that you want, there have already been discussions on it.
And believe me, they want to do it. A lot of times it's just, is it the right time? Does it make sense financially? Does it make sense design-wise? Do we want to hold off until the end of the season? Do we want this for holiday? Do we want this for con? And does it make sense to make it? It's a whole thing.
I've talked to people behind the scenes, and I won't name names, but the stuff that has been proposed and never produced. There were talks. I don't know how far they got in, but there were preliminary talks of creating a Converse, like a Converse, like a Chuck Taylor All-Star, to mimic Tina's, which is essentially just a black and white one, but it would come in the Jeff box.
Yeah, no, I heard about that too.
Yeah. So like these fun
things. It seems like a slam dunk, but you got to get through Converse. You got to get through everybody, and they're like, and it can be little stuff. Like a company can be like, well, why? Why would we do that? Because like we don't even know if Tina wears Converses. They just look like Converse. So like, are we going to make a shoe based on that with like her face on it? Because we don't do faces on our shoes, and it becomes like a whole back and forth. I can imagine that there was a lot of back and forth. Like, what color black is it? Do we have white trim or not? Do we have white laces? Do we do this? Do we do that? Is it going to come in a low top or just a high top? Like, do we do Gene and Tina's or Gene and Linda's shoes as well? And it's
at the end of the day, it has to make financial sense.
It does, yeah.
And when those conversations were being had, to my understanding, I don't think Bob's was in a strong enough place to make that happen. Obviously, they had their DC shoes that came out a couple years ago, but Bob's is in a much stronger
position now, I think, too.
In fact, when I learned about the Converse stuff, and again, it was just preliminary talks. It's not like they sat down and had meetings or anything, but that was back when I was doing Lettuce Ketchup, so that was so long ago.
And I mean, we've heard rumblings even, too, of like, there was another Funko set that was supposed to come out. There was discussions of like, should they do a video game? Like, fans have talked about that, and like we've talked about it should be like a beat 'em up, like Ninja Turtles vibe with the Belchers and like all that kind of stuff. But all that is like licensing and time and designing and making it and showing proof of concepts and like finding someone to make it and making sure it's financially makes sense to do that. Like Simpsons Hit and Run and all those games don't just happen. It takes years of talking and getting it done.
And to piggyback off that, every single individual piece of merchandise you see is a separate contract.
Yep.
So contract for a t-shirt, contract for a apron, contract for a figure. They're all individual contracts that individual people have to sign. So go back to our merchandise episode. I think we might have touched on it a little, but it's a
Everything
whole other,
is a process and takes time.
yeah. In
And
fact,
this
maybe
was,
maybe
this was
we'll
the
get some
ride.
folks on in the future to discuss just how merchandise is actually done, to shed some light on all that. But
Because as much as like being fans at the beginning and being like, why isn't this getting made? Like I've been through it. I would have that same like, yeah, why doesn't this get made? And now going through this, I can understand why stuff doesn't get made or why it takes so long to get made. Because we're like, oh, why did that take? Like, it should have been out years ago. It's like, believe me, they probably wanted it to be out years ago, but it has to go through all these hands, and everyone has to say yes and check it and make sure it's all going to work. It's a whole thing.
And then let's face it, you add the Disney wrinkle on top of that. I mean, I love Disney, but folks have their issues. But if it's not Marvel, Disney proper, Pixar, or Star Wars, it doesn't make them money. They don't really care. So it's not like these other things are priority for them. If I'm assuming, I assume. So if it's not a priority, they're not really going to bend over backwards for it.
And I think it makes, like, as a company thing, I think for them, they focus on the big names. And at the time, we're looking at, like, you named all the big ones that they usually were pushing. Pixar's always putting out movies, so they want to make merchandise for those movies. Star Wars is a juggernaut, and so is Marvel. So they're like, we have to, like, and those movies keep coming out like every year to year and a half. So we gotta push merchandise for these things because that's where they make their money, is on toys and shirts and things. Where Bob's, it has the fans, it has the fan base. It's more of a smaller, definitely smaller fan base than those. Because, I mean, Marvel, if you just look at Marvel, you've got Spider-Man, and you've got all the other heroes have their own fan bases on top of everything else. Same thing with Star Wars. So it's like, those are huge, and there's multiple items and products where Bob's is like, they have their one line. They've got their basic stuff, and that's what they're doing. Where like Star Wars is like, well, we have like 20 figures coming out just this year. We have this many shirts coming out. We have this many Lego products. We have this many this. So like the workforce alone for those kind of properties has to be like in the dozens, if not like over 100. Where Bob's may have like one or two people working with it. And same thing with like Simpsons and Futurama.
Exactly,
like they're just different. They're like, this is a smaller fan base, and they're just putting out their show. So like we can make merchandise based on that, but they're not putting out movies all the time. They're not doing this or that. So like they're going to put more of their manpower into those other properties.
And let's face it, like outside of Funko, nobody's doing TV merchandise.
No, it's different. Mondo does some stuff occasionally. It's very much like they're different producers for different things. And
the demand has to be there. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, essentially.
And a lot of times too, like there's thresholds of how much you have to make.
Yes. Yep. Not just money wise, but like quantity wise.
Because there could very much be like, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, but it could be like, but the publisher, this person only wants to produce this many, and they're like, well, we don't want to make that many. We want to make like half of that. And then if it does, we'll make another half. Yeah. They're like, no, it's this, or we don't do it.
It's not
because money is to sense. It doesn't make sense. And like working on like the book that I worked on and learning from other people who make books, being like, is that page necessary? It's like, well, I like it. They're like, yeah, but what does it bring to readers? Yep. And you're like, oh, it's just art. And they're like, can we consolidate that into like one page instead of 3 pages? And like learning like pages are money, and printing money, and color paper costs more, and like the certain cardstock costs more. So it's all becoming cents. And you compound that with how many copies you're making, that all adds up. So then it became like a, how do we learn from this? And it's like, you learn how to cut corner, consolidate, and make it work with a certain page number, because that's where the money can be made. Yeah,
it's essentially a lot of the merchandise is created by fans, but is finalized by like the end, like Disney, for example. It's finalized by the companies, but it's created by the fans. So in the middle somewhere, it gets a little butchered, and it's a bastardized version of what you started with, but essentially you kind of get in what they're.
And I would say that even goes probably for Bob's people who do merchandising too. They have great ideas. They probably push it. And it just powers to be, or the people above them, or the people who make it are like, hey, we don't do that. Yeah. Or if you want to do that, you got to do this. Or you got to go through this person, and like they're booked out doing Star Wars stuff, so you're gonna have
Yeah.
to wait a while, and it's like then it becomes like, well, we just want to get it out there, so maybe we'll just make it different or make it do something different. So
Yeah.
it's constant. I think as a merchandising, you have to pivot a lot and
Mhm.
have to be open to changing it
Yeah.
because
yeah.
the end goal is to get the product out there because you know people want it and fans really would like it. It's
Mhm.
just how do you do it in a way that makes it quick, productive, and not get hit with so many snags.
Mm. And we won't go into this because it's not worth it, but I will say, I know a lot of folks are like, well, X, Y, and Z on Instagram, they can get it out in a week. All those people are selling bootlegged, unauthorized merchandise, so they don't have to answer to any of the higher powers that be. They just sell stuff with stolen IP.
Because I can tell you just from making Trivial Pursuit, when we were talking about doing this board game, the bigger version, they came back to us with, well, who's going to make that? And we were like, well, I guess we'd have to find someone. He's like, you have to make sure that they are people that we work with. Because we have contracts with those people. Otherwise, we have to create a whole new contract, which means lawyers and people have to get involved and go over numbers and figures and talk. We have to make sure that they comply with our rules and regulations for making products. So everything became like, I just want to make a burger that opens up and there's trivia questions in it. And they're like, that's cool and all, but we got to find who does the molding.
Yep.
Who's going to design the mold? Are they someone that is a union person, or is it just someone you're just going to get because we only work with union people? And it's like a whole thing. So like learning all of that, being like, oh, so it's not just as easy as like, oh, I'll just find someone online and they'll just make it. They're like,
no.
Because
let's be honest, you could find somebody easily do that. You can find a 3D printer. But if you want to talk about AI taking people's jobs, you bootleggers, you fake merchandise sellers, you're just as bad. And that could just be Mike's opinion, but you're just as bad.
It's also makes it harder for the people who actually want to make that stuff.
Absolutely.
Who work on the show, because there could be stuff that they want to do. And think about this from that perspective, guys, as fans, like these people are really trying to get stuff out there that you guys want and are like working hard to design it, make sure it's legitimately made, that it's a good product, that it's been tested, that it does all this stuff, that like if it does catch on fire, that like it actually won't catch on fire, or that like it won't give you gangrene or something crazy if it's like a pin or something because it's coated in the thing it's supposed to be coated in. Otherwise, like then they try to put it out there and someone's already made it and they're selling it, and like that just took away hundreds of not thousands of dollars in testing and product making and design and just flushed it.
Yeah. But hey, at least you get that ugly knockoff pin, right, guys?
It just kind of kills it though. So just be aware of that. It kills the stuff that you may want, because then if they try to go back and be like, hey, we want to do this, the powers to be will probably be like, but someone's already doing it. So why would we touch that? Because like if you want like a legitimized like official tumbler for water, or you want an official like laser engraved this or that, or if you want something like that and you want them to make it because it looks good and it looks right, then you gotta want the Bob's guys to do it. You don't want someone else making it because they're just gonna screen grab. It's gonna be pixelated. It's gonna look like trash. And you're not gonna get the cool artwork and stuff that you expect and that you would like.
But what do we know? We're just fans.
Yeah.
But,
fans and have also been on that side of it a little bit too.
Yeah. But eventually, and I keep pushing this, one day we will sit down and play a round of your game.
Yes. No,
Hopefully,
it's super cool. I love it. It's I have it in my other the new podcast room I'm working on. So
I was say, if you're able to box it up, bring it to Comic-Con and we will play
it. Weighs quite a bit.
Maybe we can find an abbreviated version. Yeah,
I definitely can bring the questions on the board. Like we could at least bring all that. Or if anything, I have the questions on a drive, so I could the questions are kind of what weighs the most.
Okay.
Because they're like 1,000 cards, so we could definitely just use the cards that are digitized. And
I say we could use those,
and
or use the legit Trivial Pursuit cards.
We could use those too, because honestly, it just needs. I have the dice. The board is super light.
Yeah,
The white pants take a chance, and the like community cards are super light and easy to bring.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
mostly
figure it
just the
out.
trivia cards. So
Then,
it could
then
be
there
done.
you go. There you go, folks. Look out for a live stream at San Diego Comic-Con this year where JB and I will sit down and play the fabled Bob's Burgers. What was the whole title?
The Bob's Burgers burger making trivia game.
It rolls right off the tongue, folks.
Yes, it
It's
does.
that
And
easy.
if you don't believe me, then if you have
Yes.
Trivial Pursuit, open up
yeah.
the game itself, look at the rules card, flip it over, and you will see special thanks to Will Hunt and JB House, which is me and my
Yes.
buddy Will.
Did you know they were doing that beforehand?
That went through many iterations. I'll say that. It was
It's
supposed.
so weird because it's just two names.
It started off as something different, and
Oh.
then it eventually got to what it was.
I assume those NDAs are preventing you from telling us what all that fun stuff was.
Yes, I mean,
fine.
I don't
No,
want to give I don't
yeah.
want to badmouth anybody, and really, it had nothing to do with anybody at Bento.
No, never does. Those are good people.
And I honestly don't even think it had to do with USOpoly. I think it had to do with lawyers.
Oh, it always does. It always does.
So I'll blame them, because I don't think it had anything to do with either company, because they both seemed genuinely nice. I think it was
Trust.
just.
I work with lawyers. They're the worst.
So I think they just kind of talked into it, and they're like, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do this." And eventually, it just like, "Well, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Is that okay?" And they're like, "That's fine."
Yeah.
I think that was their compromise. It's like, we're not gonna just not have their names on this somewhere.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you haven't already, we will post images on our Instagram for folks to see all this fun stuff.
Mhm.
And again, this is the year where we will sit down and play around. Maybe we'll get some fans of Comic-Con to come play with us. We'll figure it out. But JB, thank you very much for sitting down. I mean, obviously you're a co-host. You're going to be here regardless. But
Yeah.
telling us this whole story is super
No.
interesting.
No, it was 2.5 years of just. It was a roller coaster. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and I made a lot of friends along the way. Like Mike, he's an awesome person. Janelle, I mean, she knows what we think about both of them. They're great people. Mike
Mhm.
Jenkins was one of the nicest people I've ever met. And it led me to go to the new studio and meet people and hang out. And I mean, once I will say this too, when we posted it, and had our first meeting, we were like, okay, that's cool. I don't know if anything's going to happen from that. And then both of us received a huge box from Bento with like board game and like he got Clue and I got Monopoly. They gave like Funko figures. Like my teddy came from them, and all kinds of like Comic-Con pins and things like that, and just said like, thanks for literally doing this with us, and for like, welcome to the ride that this is going to be. So that was super fun, and like I still have that stuff and love it. And they're just really the nicest people you're going to meet. Like, it starts from, and we've talked about it, starts from the top down. Lauren's amazing and super nice and will do anything for fans. And I think the entire team at Bento is the same. Like, they really value you guys as fans and for what you guys want to do, and just showing your love for a show that they make. They really do appreciate it more than anything.
And as much as I would love to end on a high note, I am going to ask you one question.
Yeah, I know you couldn't. Let's hear it.
What was your brief 30-second conversation with Lauren Bashar at the movie premiere?
Oh, the humbling moment. Here we go.
Giving
Yeah.
everything we just talked about for the last hour.
So yeah, we met him at the movie premiere.
Yes.
He gave everyone some time.
Super nice guy.
And he said thanks for coming out, and I said thanks for making the movie and putting on the burger suit and being a great person and doing all that stuff and inviting us. And
it would have
then
been great if you stopped there.
it would have been. And then he's like, what drew you here? What got you into Bob's? And then I told him, and then I said, like, oh, by the way, I also worked on the trivia game that you guys had put out like a year ago for Trivial Pursuit. And he responded as the camera was going off, "We have a trivia game? That's cool." And I was like, oh. And then I just assumed he's so busy, he just forgets stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't hold it against him. I mean,
No.
dude's probably authorizing so many things to be made, or just being like, it just gets lost in the sauce. So I'm not concerned. Will I make him look at it when I see him next and bring it? Yes, I will.
If Janelle says he saw your game, then he saw your game.
Yeah.
Janelle don't blow smoke.
No, she don't. And he also liked it, so I knew that he had seen it. So we were like, okay, that's cool. He saw it. The big guy saw it. So
Yeah, you
but, like,
gotta
maybe
take into
something will
account.
happen. That was like the first. Oh my god, he liked it.
Yeah, you got to take into account it was 2 or 3 years ago that thing.
Oh, and
come to fruition.
he was in movie mode
He
at
was
that
making
point. Like we
movies.
caught him literally in the first night of his movie showing.
Yeah, movie.
And we're like, oh, by the way, I
pandemic.
did this. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I just
Yeah.
made a movie. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I know.
So yeah, he definitely he
Yeah.
definitely didn't mean it in any kind of way.
No, I know that.
But yeah, this there you have, folks, a hell of a story.
Yes.
But this has
That was
been
awesome.
from North to Wharf, the podcast, your one-stop destination for Bob's Burgers information. Of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you find your podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe. I can't believe we're doing that
We
now, but
appreciate
here we are.
it. Please
Thank
do.
you. Big shout out to Christopher Moore for creating the intro and the outro that you hear on not only this but every single episode.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Love you. And yeah, as always, I am Mike.
And I'm JB. Hope you guys enjoyed Trivial Pursuit if you do have it.
Teddy, take it away.
I wish my radio worked. Wish my radio worked. I wish my radio worked.
Go on, scat.
Bobbity 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 bop bop.
No,
bop.
not- I mean-
Scatty batty batty.
I
boop,
meant
bop, boop,
go,
bop,
not
bop, bop.
scat. Go.
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 Where am I supposed to go?
Shoot.
Ah.
Get out! Ah! Ah! Get out!
So I should go?